Hi, my name's Tara Carriasso, and I wanted to share a little bit about this project entitled Mask Making Away from the Dominant. Um, I am primarily a mask maker, and it's a weird field to be in, and actually very small in our world to be a theatrical mask maker. Um, I started this project because I was offered to be a part of a larger project for a fellow mask maker. And I had a really, I want to say I had a struggle when I realized what the process entailed. So for me, to work on a mask that was made by someone else, I certainly could have just accepted the mask. So let me explain the process. The mask was given to me, a mask paper mache made by another maker. And it was given to me to change and to then be a part of a larger exhibition piece. So uh, I started working on the piece, and I was at the same time being bombarded by messages from the news, from the media, about how Trump was going after folks who were trying to get in from refugees who were trying to get into the country safely and legally, and that Trump was really making it impossible for people to legally um, find citizenship in the United States, which they should be able to do. So it made me reflect on my own heritage. I am a Filipino American. I was born in the US to a white family. And as a brown girl surrounded by white people, I found that I didn't have all the information that I needed to successfully navigate in a way that didn't make me constantly question myself. And so that's what this piece is about. Me going through this project with my friend's mask, with the fellow mask maker's mask, and changing it so that it is authentic from me during this time. So, as I said, this is an adaptation. The Bear Brown paper mache mask that was given to me was made by a maker who's a white man. But I needed to be able to bring myself to the project to be authentic. And the emotion that was given to me was fear. So it's a mask made in the emotion of fear. And I picture myself here next to the pieces. I had already started altering it. But as a mask maker, I don't actually get a chance to make pieces that are Filipina very often. I think I say that early in a different place in my portfolio. Um, it's a really big shift for me to get to make a face that looks like mine. So I couldn't shy away from it. The first step that I found was that I had to remove material. I had to change the nose a lot. It was taking a lot away. And for me, this was very like unlearning. I have had to unlearn a lot of white supremacy in my own life at some very deep levels in my experience. Um, and I think that it's interesting that some of the angles sort of speak to my own angles. Sometimes in the mask, there were really sharp, acute angles where I do not have them. Exacting, where there is no exacting in my own, when there's softness in mine. When I'm speaking of my face, but then I'm also speaking of where I find it in myself, exacting rules about things that I do not feel exacting about, attitudes and ideas that I was passed down that I had to unlearn, that I had to rip out of myself. This is just a little bit more about not having anyone of color close to me growing up so that I could understand injustices as they were presented to me throughout my life. In a lot of ways, I existed as a brown girl with a protective layer of family around me, but it was only so protective, because then they would harm sometimes, and I'd hear things that would hurt me. I'll never forget a family member talking about how Mexicans were coming into our country. And the moment she said that, I remember feeling in my bones. I must have been 7. I remember her feeling in my bones that she was talking about me. And I didn't know why, but I knew I felt it. So I wasn't prepared for this Trump era. um, I've been living under the gaze of white acceptance without actually receiving white acceptance, which is a sort of gaslighting that I've experienced, but that's a different thing. So needing to mend, I think for me, this speaks a great deal to the process of healing that I've been going through as a human being. I have to learn to acknowledge and accept my differences, and also uplift myself, because I have definitely found that it was hard to find allies who knew to uplift me, because so many of the people that I sort of grew into the world with were white. They did not acknowledge or understand the need for me to be uplifted, because they didn't understand the sort of passive aggressive and marginalizing that I was experiencing in the world. So here I made things that a list of things that I thought were really important to me to know. I wish I'd had these parts of me. I wish I'd had these pieces of knowledge earlier on in my life. So I'm going to rebuild the mask ultimately, but I'm going to rebuild it with these words, with these ideas built in my own features. So I love the color of my skin. I am beautiful. I am the change I want to see in this world. My nose is really cute. It is. I have a place in this world. I see myself in this world. I'm appreciated. But I also know I'm a second generation Filipino American. I know that I read to other people as immigrant and therefore enemy. I know that there is hate that is faced at people who look just like me every single day. I know that there is bias against me just because I present as brown and immigrant, and that those biases are in our society and in our culture, and I wasn't raised to understand that they existed, but I knew it. And when I'd asked about it, I was told they weren't there. um, that was one of my big ones. I know that the government is fomenting more hate for people like me. Yeah. Again, this was made during the Trump administration in 2020. Um, I am the change I want to see in the world. This is a picture of me when I think I was 5 or 6, maybe 6. I see myself in this world. I'm appreciated, but as a young person, I'll just read this. As a young person without a guardian who understood that people of color have a different experience in the world than white folks, there are many things that I wish I had known. I didn't know that I look like someone who didn't belong here. I didn't know that governments like the one in June of 2020 in the US would purposely follow policies that justified hate against people who look like me. And I wish I had known that these things were there. I wish I had been explained these things so that I could have avoided some of my own harms. And yeah, I know I'm second generation Filipino American. I know there's bias against me for how I look, and I know that I am not safe in this world. As someone who has traveled the world by myself, not understanding that my brownness was something that was dangerous for me. I've been assaulted a lot. I've been attacked by Nazis. And I didn't know how unsafe I was because I was raised by folks who didn't see that coming. So anyway, I built all of this knowledge into the new mask's face. You can see paper mache is coming here, where the nose is being rebuilt with these pieces of paper with the messages that I had shared with you. And you can see the images there in this picture. You can see the words as that paper mache is being built in. Here I have the top. I know I'm not safe in this world, right on my forehead. I added some hair to the piece too, so that it would look more like myself. And yep, there's a side by side of me and the image. And then moving further as the piece got more refined, this was my fear face. And this mask was built with fearful knowledge. In addition to the statements that I wrote on brown paper, I was also using articles from the New York Times about how the government was putting small children into cages. But such knowledge might help you create the change you want to see in the world. Had I known earlier, maybe I would have had some different approaches, but I'm still grateful for the journey I've been on. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me for this little walk through this project, this very personal and private project. And thanks. Bye-bye.